And how amazing to think my poem and my story's been read on the radio.
Well, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's there are some things which work perfectly on the page, but we were after things that would come alive around the fire, things that are meant to be, spoken, meant to be performed.
Related. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the ways of tapping into that Viking heritage, is to understand that in that time when there weren't many literate people, the skalds, the storytellers in Anglo-Saxon society, the shops were the ones that went around and told the stories. Every family would have their own stories, much like we've got now. But then there would be the epics that would get told, and they were told in performance.
So, well, that begs a performance then.
So we'll start with a Viking poem by Zach Bainham. Strange, fierce warriors, fishermen, explorers, sailors, pillage, plunder, steal. Farmers, settlers, family, worshippers of gods, the sea, the earth, the wind, long gone, but their souls live on.
That's so atmospheric.
It's great, isn't it?
Isn't it?
I love that last line of his as well, because it's just taps into that, the knowledge that, the Vikings didn't disappear. They stayed. They assimilated their us.
Exactly. Oh, but his alliteration and fairly stripped bare. I mean, not embellished in it, but just
Well, the judges. So we had Adam Parsons, who's archaeologist, and he said there was some great nuance and just contrasting truths about the past. And then Ian Cumpsty, who was another one of our judges, who is a translator of Scandinavian ballads. Again, he just said, it works well. There's no real rules, but it works because he's chosen the best words.
He has, yeah.
And that's the art of poetry, is just distilling it down.
Fantastic. So Imogen, you've got one for us as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I have Viking Days by Emily Strain. The sun rises slowly. Upon the hills, the sprinkled dew. The fire was lit. Ashes sprung to life as the smoke started to swirl above his head. The cool morning breeze swept the valley which he lay in. He put on the cold metal helmet, and then his metal chain dress. Voices called from over the hill. He picked up his axe and out of his lone tent he ran. He met the hillside and the wheat growing there. His eyes swept the valley below. There was home one day he could call. He knocked on the hard hay and wood door. A 15-year-old girl emerged, her long hair plaited neatly behind her. For her life will be short, but her age was old. They were meant for each other.
I wasn't expecting that.
No, neither were
I
we.
wasn't expecting the girl.
It's like the opening of a film.
Isn't it? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Picture it all just unfolding in front of you. It's so yeah. And this is from the youngsters.
I just love that.
You just want to give up now.
That's right. This person is under 12 years old.
Yeah. But he met the hillside.
Yeah. And that rushing out of the tent. Oh, to the girl. Oh, okay. Classic kind of like breaking the expectation of the audience within a minute.
Yeah, I thought he was off to battle as far as I was concerned, and then just completely thwarted our expectations, turned them on their head.
Well, maybe it's the battle for her heart. Who knows?
Oh.
Yes.
Was that Imogen? You loved that, didn't you? You could tell the way you read it. You just
I think it's short, but she's got so much in there, and it's a beautiful little story. It really captures your imagination. I think you want it to keep going a little bit, and find out more about this couple who are meant for each other. They're destined to be together. why? How has that come about? And you want to know more, and I think that's so important with a story, the need for it to keep going on and on and on.
Yeah, there are definitely more scenes to come there, aren't there? Yeah, or more chapters if it was Peter.
No, it definitely hooks you in. It does. It's very good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research in there that's evident as well. If you dig a bit deeper, the line about she was 15, but she was old for her age.
Yes.
Because people then didn't live that long. So at 15, she was middle-aged.
Yeah.
So it's, and a lot of that information was there in the exhibition at the Beacon as well. I've got a feeling that Emily actually went to the Beacon, and then they had a little area where people could write down their entries before they left. So some of these were written really quickly.
Just like on the
in
Who.
response. Yes.
At the exhibition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's fascinating, isn't it? So I know you have one more from the younger age group.
And this story I really liked because it, in the Viking canon, you've got the myths about the gods, and then you've got the sagas about the warriors and so on. But this actually mixes the two together in quite a clever little way. And also, Katie's just put some of her own little twists in there, which I really like.
Right, let's hear it, please.
So this is My Viking Story by Katie Beals. Once upon a time, there was a king, and he ruled all the lands in Cumbria. He had 9 daughters. He needed one to be queen when he died, so he sent all of them on a quest to kill Fenrir, the great giant wolf. They were all very good fighters, but only one of them could be queen. The challenge was that they could only bring one weapon with them. The youngest chose to have a bow and arrow. She was also the best at fighting. As she got ready for the battle, she found metal chainmail that once belonged to her father. So she put on the chainmail, and she got her horse ready and rode off over the mountains. When she reached Fenrir's cave, she heard growls coming from inside the cave. As she went in, she heard bones crunching under her feet. The princess was petrified. When she looked down, there he was, the wolf right beneath her feet. Suddenly, Fenrir started to wake up. After a few years of sleeping, Fenrir would be very hungry, so she readied her bow and arrow, ready to shoot the beast. She was shaking as she pulled the string on her bow. Finally, Fenrir got up and the earth shook with terror, and she shot the arrow into his back. Fenrir dropped to the ground, but turned to face her, and she could feel his breath as it knocked her onto the pile of bones. Fenrir looked her in the eyes, and she ran and hid behind a rock and got another arrow ready. This time she shot Fenrir in the eye, and he howled in pain and he dropped dead.